Again, good afternoon, dear friends. I just go straight to the talk. In terms of my religious upbringing, I am a hybrid product of the Benedictines and the Jesuits. I thought my Catholic Christian formation was more than enough to understand and appreciate the existence of God the Father. One of the persons of the Holy Trinity, which itself was a very tough and almost impossible concept to explain, to understand, and to accept. As my mom would always say, accept it as a mystery of our faith. Hirap yun. Accept it as a mystery of our faith. It was just easy to read and talk about Jesus, yes, God and the Holy Spirit, because knowledge was the currency to get good grades in school. Agree? Memory work lang naman yan eh. Okay? But that's where it all stayed, in my intellect, never in my heart, never in the way I interacted with others, especially the ones closest to me, the ones who mattered the most, my friends and my colleagues at work. In short, my faith was nominal. It was like getting a passing grade of 75%. Go to Sunday Mass, try to abide by the Ten Commandments. In short, just don't be a jerk. If I may use the term, don't be an asshole. Okay? I don't know about you. I'm a fan of Star Trek. When it started as a TV series in 1966, black and white pa yun. And of course, Star Wars. And I was a voracious reader of authors like Isaac Asimov, Carl Sagan, science fiction guys. There was something about stars and moons, galaxies, black holes that fascinated me to no end. Until I came across an article written by John Glenn. For my brothers and sisters here who are me like baby boomers, will remember or should remember who John Glenn is. An American astronaut who was the first man who orbited around the Earth in 1962 in the Friendship space capsule. Let me share with you a portion of John Glenn's article, which he wrote after that trip, which was entitled, Why I Know There Is a God. And this was to be a testament to his deepening faith in our Lord. Okay, okay. Indulge me. I'm just gonna quote some passages from his article. Sabi niya, when I was selected for the space program, one of the first things given me was a booklet containing a lot of information about space. So we're gonna go with some astronomy 101 here. Two paragraphs that concern the hugeness of the universe impressed me very much. To understand these paragraphs, you have to know what a light year is. Light year. We all know light travels at 186,000 miles per second. Imagine that. Equivalent to about 7.5 one times around the Earth every second. So if you turn on your flashlight and aim it at the night sky and let that continue for one whole year, that distance is what you call a light year, which is approximately 6 trillion miles. And then he goes on to say, let me quote now on the size of the universe, our universe. When we recall that our galaxy is 100,000 light years in diameter, the sun, being an insignificant star, some 30,000 light years from the galactic center, sounding Star Wars, no? Circling in an orbit of its own every 200 million years as the galaxy rotates, we realize how difficult it is to visualize the tremendous scale of the universe beyond our solar system. Nor is the interstellar space of our galaxy the end of it. For far beyond are the millions of other galaxies, all apparently rushing from one another at fantastic speeds. The limits of the telescopically observable universe extend at least 2 billion light years from us in all directions. This shows how big our universe is. Atoms have a great similarity to our solar system and to the universe, for they have electrons rotating about a nucleus in regular patterns. So sabi ni John Glenn, so what is the point I am making? He says in his article, it is the orderliness of the whole universe about us, from the smallest atomic structure to the galaxies millions of light years across, all traveling at prescribed orbits in relation to one another. He asks the question, could this have just happened? Was it an accident that a bunch of heavenly bodies suddenly started making orbits on their own accord? I cannot believe that, he said. This is one big thing in space that shows me there is a plan. This is one big thing in space that shows me there is a God. Some power put all of this into orbit and keeps it there. And that's the end of the passage. I have read John Glenn's article many times over. And at some point, I told myself, hmm, John Glenn personally encountered God with his sense of sight of the vastness of space. That was God revealing himself in a very intimate way to John Glenn. And you know what? John Glenn was never the same. He became a United States Senator and an ordained elder of the Presbyterian Church. At age 77, at age 77, he was allowed to be a member of the NASA STS-95 crew, making him the oldest person to fly in space. Upon his return, he said, and this is important, sabi niya, to look out at this kind of creation and not believe in God is to me impossible. To look out at this kind of creation and not believe in God is to me impossible. And so I go back. How did I find my answer to the same question John Glenn was asking? Who is or what is God like? I really wish I had the same opportunity as John Glenn to fly in space and use my sense of sight to witness what he witnessed. So I have to say the closest I came to doing that was putting on an astronaut's costume in the annual Christmas lantern parade in my grade school. But I was the only one in an astronaut's costume. So my teacher said, you're going to lead the parade. Ooh, I had the biggest parole. Friends, that's my only claim to fame in reaching for the stars. I agree. I was really so deeply touched by Bobby's talk last week, by his perspective on his Jesus Christ. Kaya lang, ang problema ko sa talk nito, my perpetual challenge with this talk is, how can I even talk about God the Father who is pure spirit? Jesus was an incarnation. He walked the earth in a human body, right? He walked the earth in the flesh. And with the human senses of those around him, they saw him, they touched him, and they heard him. With God, the Father, what do we depend on? Pure spirit. And then he presents himself differently in the Old Testament and then the New Testament. Ang hirap talaga. But in my many years in the community, you know, what I didn't realize was that my struggle to understand and accept God as Father actually flowed from my own struggle with my earthly father. There is this truth to this passage from a prayer book, which reads, and I quote, "We risk contaminating our idea of God if we have bad associations or memories of either father or mother." And I realized that, oo nga, I was able to dig this up. I'm so proud because I'm the only anak who had this picture. My dad was a lawyer, an educator, and a businessman rolled up in one person. At an early age of 13, he lost his father and spent his teenage years in the Ateneo dorm in Padre Faura before World War II. Daddy worked very hard to put us three boys in good schools and provided us and our mother a relatively comfortable life with no major problems. To many of his friends, Daddy was known as Pete Arreglo or the Red Cross, as he would always extend any kind of help, advice, or financial to anyone who came to him for help. He was very strict with us, and with me in particular, demanded a lot of in terms of my academic performance. I have already concluded, sa amin tatlo, I was the academic trophy of my parents. So you can imagine the pressure every year, every year, every year. Daddy grew up in a very structured and rigid family in the province. There were times he would recount that there was absolutely no talking during mealtime. No talking. Imagine that. Maybe not difficult because we're on our phones now. Even get it now? Okay? No talking pag mealtime. His father, who was then the town mayor, so politico, had a real bad temper, which scared my dad and his siblings. He would recall that after playing outside in the yard, he would even hide his smallest wounds or scratches for fear that if his father found out, his nanny, his yaya, would get the full wrath of his father's anger and he would be physical. So to protect his yaya, tinatago niya yung mga sugat niya. That was my dad's family of origin, which I have tried to understand. I knew that daddy loved us, but being strict and distant was probably the best way he knew how to express that love. He made himself really very active with the schools. Alam mo na yung parent-teacher association, all of those things. Even becoming the president for several years. But as a growing teenager, I really longed much for his personal attention and his time. My frustration, my hurts and resentment grew as the years passed. And at a certain point, I decided to stop expecting and to move on. This is as good as it gets, I thought. About a year after we joined the BCBP, At age 62, Daddy was diagnosed to have Alzheimer's disease. That time, we did not know much about this new ailment. Some called it dementia, some called it premature senility, whatever. What was clear was that it had no known cause up to now, and it has no known cure up to now. We did not know how the disease would progress and how long it would take before Daddy's major organs would shut down completely. Our objective was to make him as comfortable as possible. All of a sudden, I was faced with my father's mortality. Slowly, this man, who was always the life of the party, so much alive, so vibrant, was slowly being reduced to an incoherent being, eventually forgetting who we were and who he was. It broke my heart every time he would call me in the middle of the night, asking me to help him out to get out of an imaginary jail. Ilabas mo ako dito. Dad, you're home. No, I'm in jail. Kasi may hallucinations na after a while. And that would happen many nights. It broke my heart when he started to forget that mommy was his wife. Sino tong katabi kong to? That's mommy, your wife. I don't know her. It broke my heart when he could not remember that he had three sons. Kaming tatlo. It broke my heart that I will probably never get a chance to reconcile with my father. And so, I guess in desperation, I turned to prayer, asking God to help me deal with the situation. I asked the Lord to make the remaining time of my dad as painless as possible. I asked the Lord to help me understand what was happening, to help me accept it, and to forgive. 4 years into the BCBP, I was asked to give a talk like this for one of the BCLP sessions. That was the first time I would be giving that particular talk, and I needed time to prepare. And so I decided to call the office, take a leave. The whole day, sabi ko, this will be the day I'm going to prepare for this kasi sa gabi yung talk eh. I decided to take a leave from work and promised myself I would spend that next 8 hours undisturbed to write the talk. As soon as I sat down in front of my computer, the phone rings. It was my dad. And he asked, "Are you busy today? Can I come over?" I haven't forgotten those words. "Are you busy today? Can I come over?" All of a sudden, I had this mix of emotions. I needed a date to do my talk. Because we get worried when we prepare for talks. But somehow, something inside of me said, maybe this is the time that the Lord is giving you. Time to talk with your father. Time to spend with him. Time that you may never get anymore as his memory was slowly fading. So I said, "Sure, Dad, come over." So nagpahatid siya sa driver, and he was there the whole day in the house. We spent the whole day talking about serious and even crazy things that we probably should have been talking about many years before. And I realized it was my father's way of making peace with me. Before he left, I could only kiss him and say, "Dad, regardless of what has happened between us, know that I will always love you." So, Carl and I went to that evening BCLP talk. Sabi ko, "Lord, ikaw na lang bahala. I'm not prepared for this." But the Lord finds a way. My father passed peacefully in 1993. I was 38 years old when he passed. It's been 32 years since his death, and I continue to think about him. I continue to miss him. I continue to speak to him in times of my sadness, my fear, confusion. Times I would catch myself saying, Dad, paano na to? What will I do? Please help me. So, we need to come back to the question pa rin, don't we? What is God like? So you see, I really struggle with this talk. At least for me, with my human limitations, I guess asking the question, what is God like? Okay, it's like asking, what is pain like? Paano ba yung masaktan talaga? Asking the question, what is God like, is like asking, what is eating a juicy mango like? Sarap, di ba? Forget about the sugar. We're gonna die anyway. Asking the question, what is God like, is like asking, what is being in love like? I have to score my points. Allow me this. Okay? Please, do not comment anymore. Okay? Emptiness na kasi kami, so you know the situation. Di ba? So, and asking, what is God like, is like asking, what is marriage like? Asking, what is God like, is like asking, what does it feel to be sad? And asking, what is God like, is like asking, what is being a grandparent like? Ito po yung aming board of directors. Our current chairperson is on the lap of Carla right there. She's 1 year old. The big boss, the biggest of all bosses. So, I don't know if you agree with me, but my conclusion has always been, we know what something is like if you personally experience that something. I believe it's the same with God. I, I cannot tell you how to feel and experience God. Ikaw yun eh. Ikaw yun eh. I know the answer to the question. Oop, tumalon ulit. Sorry. Hmm. Mas gusto ko yung overhead projector nun eh. No, really, di ba? Kasi mas madaling mag-switch ng slide eh. Dito, hahanapin mo talaga, di ba? Thank you. Um, I believe it's the same with God. I know the answer to the question because God has blessed me with almost 70 years of His love to the people like si Carla, our children, our grandchildren, dear friends, people and events, victories and heartbreaks, so unique to me that He has allowed me to experience. You know, then I have to go back to this real nagging question. How do we reconcile the image of a loving, personal God to our present world? Even with fantastic advancements, oh, okay, even with advancements in medicine, communication, travel, technology, man continues to disobey God. Hmm. We continue to have, in many places around the world, wars, civil strife, genocide, destruction of the environment, poverty, social injustice, and killing of the unborn. And it's really right to ask, Why does God allow that? This one I really wanted to share with you from the document of the vocation of the business leader, which was formulated by the Pontifical Council for Peace and Justice of the Vatican. It made this statement about communications technology, which has enabled connectivity, new solutions and products, and lower costs. But its amazing velocity also brings information overload and rush decision making. And may I add, while communication technology has made it easier and faster for us to send and receive messages, we have allowed it to actually dehumanize our relationships. We have. It's good to ask ourselves how much of our communication really today has been reduced to, ayan na, text messages, Facebook, TikTok, TokTik, whatever, private messaging, WhatsApp, Viber. Why does God allow all of that? Just to give you an important statistic that I shared with the chapter, the Philippines is number one in the number of hours spent average today on social media. We top the world, ladies and gentlemen. Ang taas na. Number one with 4 hours average per day for a Pinoy. 4 hours a day. And then I checked, kasi I said, meron bang inverse relation to? I checked, yung mga progressive countries like Japan and Korea, biglang bagsak yung kanilang social media. Is there a point there? I think there is. There is. Diba? Diba? But that's a reality. We now have 24/7 real-time connections with practically everyone in the planet. But how come we continue to have rising cases and incidences of loneliness, depression, fear, anxiety, insecurity, mistrust? We now have new approaches to marriage. Meron pang marriage preparation ngayon, di ba? Wala nun eh. Counseling, all of these things, family renewals, whatever. But how come we continue to see increasing cases of divorce, separations, maladjusted children, drug addictions, broken, dysfunctional families, suicides? Why does God allow this? The answer is simple, I think. Many of us continue to refuse what God offers. And what He offers, this world can never give, ever. The God in my life offers life. My human effort apart from Him will always prove useless. The God in my life offers a personal relationship. Come to me, all who are weary and find life burdensome, and I will refresh. The God in my life offers a welcoming heart, like the father of the prodigal son. If you can go back to that story and that image. No conditions, no ifs, no buts. The story of this father is that he did not even wait by the gates when his son arrived. He ran towards him. Wow. If you can just imagine God the Father rushing out to meet us. Friends, I don't think, we believe that it's not a coincidence that you're here. My faith tells me you are here because God has called you to be here. Now, if you can just imagine, close your eyes for a while and picture God as the father of the prodigal son, not waiting, but rushing out to greet you with open arms, with a wide, joyful smile. Remember, He does not care what you have done. He does not care about your past. No. He does not care what you think about Him. He doesn't care even if you're mad at Him. He does not care if He is your lowest priority. And you know what? He does not even care if you don't believe in His existence. What He cares about is to have you back in His arms, in His presence. Not tomorrow, not even the hours after this session, right now. But the thing is nga, when you think about that, but like the prodigal son or prodigal father, what is keeping us from running back to Him? Ano ba yun talaga? Diba? Yabang? Takot? May galit ka ba sa Diyos? Okay lang yun. Talk to Him about it. Lord, I didn't get the job that I wanted. Lord, how come my dearest loved one died anyway in spite of all the money we spent? That's anger. That's resentment. And I'm mad at you. Sure. Talk to Him about it. Are we stuck with the world and its distractions to a certain extent? Yes. Are we fools for Satan with all his lies and deceptions? Because this world is full of his lies and deceptions. They come in very beautiful forms, right? A beautiful job offer, which will get you nowhere. Oftentimes, magandang sekretarya. Tapos problema sa bahay. Ooh, what a ripe opportunity. You know those opportunities? Or our own sinfulness. Are there still things that I've been doing that has kept me away from God? Dear friends, talk to God about all of that in faith. Galit ka, takot ka. Lord, I'm scared. I'm scared. Lord, I'm mad at you. I'm mad. Hinayaan mong mangyari yan sa akin. That's okay. Okay? So, I'm sorry I went over. But before I close, sorry. Before I close, I invite us to listen and watch this prayer video. I hope it plays.
I think God's timing is always right.
If you say so, yeah.
Yeah, because when you upon finishing your conclusion, the video fades off already. So it's really God's timing.
Yeah.
Manolet, thank you very much for your time. What is God like is one of the more incomprehensible questions when it talks on the CLB, and you made it easier for us to understand. And with that, please accept this simple token of appreciation. I bought this myself from Bohol yesterday just for you and Andrew.
Hindi tarsier pa.
I could have gotten it, but it's too big.
Thank you. Thank you.
Maraming salamat again. So just like last week, no, you'll have a 25 to 30 minutes group discussion. But before that, I just like to remind lang for those who still have their own, prayer intention, please give it to your discussion assistant discussion leaders because we have an intercessory team, no, who's praying for us since last week until the end of the program on July 19th. So we're starting the discussion already. Let's please handle the time. The 30-minute group discussion will be allotted for each participant. So there will be a reminder of 5 minutes to go. Thank you.